for anybody that wants to kind of just start this process, I mean, you can't stop what you can't see, right? Is the basic premise, right? And so you have to be able to identify the thoughts that come to mind, the behavioral patterns, the changes in your decision making, the situations in which these things are occurring. And the easiest way to start is like, just look at the mistakes that you're making, right? Whether or not they're super obvious and they're the boneheaded mistakes that you're making, or the ones that are maybe a little bit more marginal, maybe happen a bit more infrequently, but yet you still know that they're causing some losses. So start with those, and then kind of start asking yourself the questions of, all right, well, why is this actually happening? Right? It's so easy to just say, don't do that, right? I know better. I'm not going to do that again, right? And maybe for a couple of days you don't, and then, for another reason, right, you just forget about it, and then it pops back up again. So instead of saying, don't do that, say, all right, why is this happening? And when you start to ask, why is that happening? Then you start looking for the patterns that exist around those issues. And the good thing is that these patterns happen in predictable and consistent ways. You have similar thoughts, you have similar underlying emotions, you have similar actions and physical sensations. Again, changes in your perception of the market or your positions, et cetera. And when you start to actually like write those things down, right, you can then find more of them and more of them. And, it really starts to kind of level up. And all of a sudden now you have a very detailed map of the earliest signs of greed or fear or anger or confidence issues, and then be able to kind of see as they scale up, as they get bigger and bigger, because they accumulate. Typically, people are not aware of those very early signs, right? They're not aware until the problem occurs. Well, guess what, right? The roots of your fear, right? The hesitation you have in this position, it actually started, the prior day when you lost out. And now that loss, kind of stung enough. And you're now all of a sudden beginning to kind of think like, oh man, I don't want that to happen again. I really need to be extra cautious or careful. Like I don't want to lose again. The thoughts that kind of start to snowball, again, they happen in predictable patterns, but we don't take the time to step back and actually write them down. We think that we're capable in the moment of just stopping it. And that's just not the case. I mean, anything worth doing requires some training. And so mapping your pattern, right, takes some time, takes some practice to really look at it closely. But I promise that if you do this, you will see more details, and it will give you the ability to stop things before they happen.
Yeah, definitely. So you'd say it's sort of like a snowball rolling down the mountain or something, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets to the point where you can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you going to stop it, right? You're going to stop it when it's, barreling at 100 miles an hour, or are you going to stop it, when it just gets going? Super, it's much, much easier to stop early on than it is, when it's barreling.
Yeah, perfect.